Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Thursday Night Live. I am WebWitch, and I'll be your host. And we are joined by John, who will be talking about network traffic analysis this week, specifically working with Wireshark.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, so network traffic analysis. I see here in the poll, I'm not sure if everyone's got a chance to chime in yet, but it looks like the majority of people have done some work with Wireshark, but they don't know everything. So that's actually really good information for us to know, so that we don't, but there are some people that have never touched Wireshark before in their lives. So, this is a good mix of people, and I think this is a good cross-section of what we see in the National Cyber League, which is, everyone from just, completely off the street new to, seasoned professionals. So tell me a little bit about your network traffic experience, WebWitch.
Mine? It's rough for me. I never had any formal training on it. I kind of dove into it and tried to figure out what was going on, which was difficult because at the time when I first did the NCL, I didn't understand what packets were. So there was a lot of stuff that I was searching for, and that I had no idea where I would find that information. But as I've gotten, better over the years, I've figured out what parts of the packet are what and how Wireshark presents them, and that helped a lot. There were some fun things that I learned during the Women in Cybersecurity conference. One very nice lady taught me how to reconstruct VoIP calls with some fancy features in Wireshark, which I hadn't done before. But yeah, it was really hard to navigate around without anyone telling me how to do it, but I figured it out over time. But I definitely wish someone would have walked me through it early on, but no one I knew how to use it, so that's just how it goes.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to dive in, right? So,
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, great. Well, similar here. I had seen Wireshark installed. I think the first time I saw it was they were using it to sniff packets off the network to do some analysis, kind of back off of at another location. And this was like a blue team that came in and kind of, were scraping information so that they could analyze it. I knew vaguely what Wireshark was, but like you, I mean, it really kind of does start with the packet, right? And an understanding of what is in a packet, how packets move across the internet, TCP/IP, different ports. There's a lot that goes into it, but it's really networking at its raw level, right?
Yep.
So let's see. I'm not sure if everyone's got a chance to see the blog yet or not, but really, I think that network traffic analysis is one of those sticking spots. And this is one thing that I kind of like to talk about a little bit as far as in the games directly. You're going to see a lot of people bogged down when they get to network traffic analysis because it is a little bit tedious. And the key to that is really, to become efficient doing it. And efficiency, unfortunately, takes practice sometimes. But there also is quite a bit to be said for, kind of tuning your Wireshark and getting it to display the things that you want it to display.
Yes, that's something that I only learned recently, as in within the last year recently. I didn't know you could edit Wireshark to make it show what you want, to make it a little bit easier to read. I was just going off the default, I guess this is what I have.
Right. So network traffic analysis, I guess in order to kind of prep for it, I would run everyone through a basic TCP/IP and have them understand how that handshake process works, how the computers talk across the network. And then I would kind of make sure that they have a really good grasp of HTTP and the common ports, right? I think just with that knowledge, that could kind of help to screen out some of the information that you don't want to see.
Yes. And that's honestly, I feel like for a lot of things, the most important is just filtering out everything from log analysis and network traffic analysis. If it has analysis in the name, you probably need to sift through stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and hang on, I keep on getting my colors switching around, so I'm gonna change that here real quick. Sorry, it's driving me nuts.
Video cameras.
There we
Blessing and a curse.
Okay, a little bit better. Let me just, yeah, okay, we're good. All right, so let's see. All right, so let me just reference my blog here real quick. Let's see.
If anyone wants to check out the blog, again, it is in the call to action section where we have posted a link so you can directly link to it and see what we're looking at. And also for people who have just joined us, remember to post questions in the Ask a Question section down below, or talk with people in the chat, and we can find your questions there and add them to the list. There's also a poll, which we have. Most people have done some work with Wireshark, but don't know everything. I mean, who really does, though? And we've got a couple of people who have never encountered Wireshark in their life, which, honestly, that's fair.
Okay, so let's then kind of talk a little bit about Wireshark. We'll just build from the bottom up here. So what Wireshark is the imagine that you have a computer attached to your network, and rather than sending packets from your computer to, say, your router, you send them to the computer, and then it forwards those packets on to the router. So that's kind of like a man in the middle kind of thing, right? So this allows us to actually see all the traffic on our network. So our network traffic, our cards as they are talking to the DHCP server to get a license, all of the ARP traffic, which is how computers identify each other on the network, all the requests for an IP address, using DHCP. We see all of that traffic. Absolutely everything that happens on the network, we're going to see. If it travels across the wire, we get a snapshot of it. So then you can save that entire packet log, if you will, and then you can actually replay it, and it's just like if the traffic was happening all over again on the network. That's not a feature that we're going to use very much in the National Cyber League. Most of what we have is like a snapshot in time, and you're going to go through that snapshot in order to find information. It's like a treasure hunt, if you.
A very complicated treasure hunt.
Yeah. So you're going to get questions basically that are going to have you go through the packets, and there's a couple different things that I definitely want to call out in Wireshark once you launch it. So I'm actually going to launch my Wireshark now, and then share it so that people can kind of get an idea of what it looks like.
Perfect.
All right, so I'm going to share. Hold on. I gotta remember how to do this.
I think you have to hover over your video, and then there's an option at the top screen.
Ah, there we go. Thank you. Okay, so you should be able to see my Wireshark now. You see that?
Let me focus.
And you do like
properly. There we go.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, there we go. All right, so up here you can see that this is my Wireshark, and you can see here that I've got a little bit of a history, right, of doing spring 2019. So I'm not going to open those files because that might give someone an unfair advantage, seeing how things were formatted before. But down here in the capture area, you can see that I actually have my Ethernet connection is passing traffic right now. It's passing all the traffic that is going on this call right now. If I did a packet capture and recorded that, then I could come back later and reconstruct all of this traffic and replay this video just out of the capture itself.
Nice.
The same thing goes for voice over IP calls, or pretty much anything that has. anything that really has a traffic that passes across the wire. So let's see, a couple things about that is I want to kind of call out a couple areas in this that are going to come, are definitely going to be of use, right? The first thing is going to be this conversations piece, right? And on the conversations piece, obviously there's no traffic in here right now, but you can actually see this is going to show you all your endpoints from traffic up here from address A to address B, the packet number, the byte count on it. It's going to show you all of the information that passes from endpoint and this is IPv4 traffic. You can also go to your TCP or your UDP and just look at those packets that are passing across the network at this time. Let's see, that is going to be kind of important if you are doing anything. Oh, I see here, Joaquin is saying, hi everyone, this is Wireshark. Yeah, absolutely. If I didn't make that clear, yeah, this is Wireshark, and you don't necessarily have to load it. There is a CloudShark tool, which is a little bit limited, but it is enough usually to accomplish most of the challenges. Wireshark just makes it easier in my opinion. But okay, so that was under statistics conversations. You can also go to endpoints, and this will tell you all of the different devices that are on your network that are talking. If I were to actually do a capture right now, you would see that I have smart devices, such as some light bulbs and some light switches and that kind of thing in my home. I also have a Raspberry Pi or two laying around that are on the network. I have about 3 laptops that are all connected up right now, and my main computer. And then I've got a couple repeaters for my wireless traffic. I think my son's playing a game in the other room right now, so you'd see that. See any Netflix traffic that's going on right now. So you'd be able to see pretty much all of those endpoints. An endpoint is just a device on a network. Let's see. So another one that you'd be able to see is, let's see what else we got in here. IPv4 Statistics. This is going to show you all your addresses, and a lot of your questions are going to come in the format of what IP address talked to this computer, or what computer, or what is the IP address of this computer on the network. This will be really key to finding that stuff right in here. Do you have anything to add to that, WebWitch?
I don't, because I'm going to be honest with you, most of that is new to me. Normally, okay. I just blindly sift through things.
Okay. Well, let's see. Another thing that's going to be really, really important is this Analyze tab. If you come under here, you can do follow, and then you can follow a TCP stream or an HTTPS stream. So, for example, say you were going to look for web traffic. I don't know, maybe Tom lost his receipts or something like that.
Oh, boy.
So because he bought those receipts and he bought those tickets online, we can actually, and we did a capture while he was doing that, we have absolutely all the traffic that passed from his computer to the server where he purchased those tickets. So we can go in and we can look at all that traffic that passed, and we can find all of the receipts and all the confirmations that he received via HTML by following this HTTP stream. When you follow the stream, it's going to show you sequentially each packet as it passed, and you hit next, and you go to the next packet that passed, and it creates a conversation. And that's an actual term that you're going to see used in Wireshark quite a bit, is a conversation. Got a comment here about what about HTTPS traffic? Is not encrypted and can't be made sense of. That is a really great point. You will not be able to see you can see encrypted traffic. It's just garbled. It's not readable whatsoever. However, there's in the challenges, they're not going to encrypt that information. They're going to send it over the wire unencrypted. Or some of the challenges might require that you actually put the key in to decrypt all the traffic. And Wireshark also has that ability. So if you know what the key is that they were using in order to pass traffic, you can put that into Wireshark, and it'll decrypt all of those HTTPS messages.
Awesome.
Okay, so we're going to follow this HTTP stream, And that's going to show us all of the conversation. So just every single note in the conversation. See an example. I'd love to show you one, Rami. I don't have one currently available. Most of the packet captures I have are from prior NCL challenges, and we're kind of bound by agreement not to show those things because they're proprietary. So
they will get very angry at
would
us.
really definitely recommend that once that gymnasium opens, that you jump into this, pull down those packet captures, and you can kind of play with that yourself and kind of figure out all the stuff I'm talking about. Now, this video conversation will, of course, be archived, so you can play all this back, while you're doing your challenges. If it helps you, which I hope it does, then you can kind of try some of the different tools that are in Wireshark that I'm showing you. Okay, so yeah, following the TCP stream or following the HTTPS stream, I want you to definitely remember that. These filters. Filters are the way that you screen out traffic that you don't want to see. Now, I know that sounds, this is a little bit counterintuitive, but you don't want to see good traffic, right? You don't want to see normal traffic. You want to go through and find all the normal message, all the normal traffic flowing from point A to point B, the ARP messages, the DNS queries, all the DHCP, traffic, and you want to screen all of that out unless you're looking for those items so that all you can see is the traffic that you want to see. So it's almost like a reverse filter. You're filtering out, not filtering in. Okay. If you did want to actually filter in, then you'd come up here and you can actually under go here. You can search for packets. You can go to a numbered packet. You can go here under analyze and kind of work your way through those packets. There's quite a bit here that you can do as far as trying to process the large amount of information that these packet captures are going to have in it. Usually a packet capture is going to have, I don't know, I've seen upwards of about 10,000 packets during the NCL, and that's not completely, abnormal. Okay, and let's see here. Yeah, we can absolutely do a question time at the end. So definitely we'll do a little Q&A at the end. I know there's a lot of specifics to this, but remember that we do have some people that have never seen Wireshark before, and I don't want to scare them half to death here. So, okay, so another thing I'm going to show you is over here under File, and you're going to come down here to exports. You can actually export specific packets, export packet dissections, and the big one, export objects, okay? When you export these objects, for example, say I make a query to a server to download a PNG image. That PNG image is then going to be delivered to me using, over the wire, and it's going to be in pretty much hex format. So I can't read that. I'll definitely see the little PNG flag at the beginning, the magic bytes, and the I end at the end of it. So I can tell that it's a PNG image. I just can't see it. By exporting these objects, you can actually go through and look at all the images that were downloaded. This export will basically dump them all in a directory for you. And then you can look through cached files. You can look through images. You can look through files that were downloaded. You can reconstruct PDFs. You can even reconstruct movies in here. So if they're watching a movie, which there has been a challenge in the past, where they were watching a movie and you had to go into these objects and kind of reconstruct that movie by just exporting it and then watch it, and you could find the answer in the movie that they were doing. So I definitely want you to remember this export objects. That is going to be really key to finding some of these treasures that are hidden. Okay, let's see. Beyond that, uses for Wireshark. Oh, okay. Looks like that answered Joshua's question. Awesome. Yeah, it's really hard because there are so many different ways that they can hide information. I can't really address every single situation, but generally, if you just use the tools that I've kind of illustrated here, you can fake it till you make it.
That's, yep, pretty much.
All right. So, we talked about Wireshark. I also mentioned CloudShark. Now, CloudShark is going to be loaded with every single challenge that requires Wireshark. So if you are at a school computer, or you're on a cloud computer, in a virtualized instance or something, or you're playing on a, 10-year-old laptop or a tablet, you can still compete. You can still accomplish these challenges using CloudShark, which is going to be included in the challenge. CloudShark has a very similar look and feel to it. It just doesn't have all of these nifty tools that I've kind of gone through just now. Another thing is you can download these training and tutorials on how to use Wireshark directly from Wireshark. So that's a really handy, thing to remember. Plus, of course, you've got YouTube, you've got Udemy, you've got, Cybrary, LinkedIn, Lynda. I mean, there's so many different tools out there. All you have to do is kind of look in your favorite, and they'll have some sort of Wireshark tutorial. I definitely recommend going through at least one tutorial to kind of get the look and feel. Let's see.
I'm going to post the Udemy course in the chat if anyone wants to check that out.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that my first exposure to Wireshark was using I think it was on YouTube, actually. Just kind of, typed in the search, for Wireshark, and, rolled the dice, and got pretty lucky. Got a really good video, that talked about how packet dissections work and that kind of thing. I'd forgotten how much I'd forgotten. There's so much about packets, and, the header length and the byte size, and, just the byte order and the fingerprint information, and there's a lot in a packet, right? So knowing your packet dissection is going to be really, really key to figuring out the information that they're asking in the question.
This is also a quick link in the chat, Wireshark's own user guide. If you want to go through that, it does have some of the stuff that we're talking about with like packet dissections, also talking about capture file formats and different aspects that Wireshark looks at. John, do you think, I know you can't open up any of those files. Are there any files you can open up to give them an idea of what it looks like?
Sure, give me just a second. So where I'm going to get this, I just is on netrec.com. And you can download packet captures there. So let me see what we can get here real quick. Let's see, there's some captures from malware traffic. I'm not going to do that because I don't want malware on my computer. There's some good network forensic ones in there, some SCADA challenges. That's kind of cool. Just for this one, though, let's go ahead and pull down the DEF CON Capture the Flag contest traces from DEF CON 8, 10, and 11. That's at cctf.shmoo.com. And let's see if I can find it here. More projects. Air snore. I'm looking. Give me a sec. They don't have it right where I want it.
As always. It's always when you're doing some kind of presentation that everything suddenly disappears from where it normally is.
Right. Okay. So they might have moved that file. Let me go to another link. Single PCAP files, HoneyNets, scan of the month PCAPs. All right, we'll do one of those. And of course, I'm getting a broken link.
Lovely.
Yeah, let's move on because I don't have one loaded, but I'll see what I can find.
Well, I was going to say while you're looking for that, there's a question in here by Michael Hallman. that says, when you talk about knowing your packet dissection, are you speaking of the OSI Model 7 layers header?
So what I'm talking about there is, here, let me just see if I can pull up a model here. Give me just a sec here.
There we go. Perfect.
All right. So what I'm talking about is this, right? The source port, destination port, sequence number, the acknowledgement number, data offset, all the reserve flags, the checksum values, padding, and especially this data category. And then also looking at, TCP, IP, this is a packet dissection. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So here you have your source and destination address, your TCP data, all these options. The flags here that are like your SYN and your ACKs. All of this information is in a packet. So that's what I mean by a packet dissection.
All right.
I found a sample capture. It is from wireshark.org. So we're going to see if I can pull that real quick. And of course, it takes me 3 links to get to wherever I'm going here.
I'll just dance in the corner.
Yeah, I wasn't really planning on going, deep into this, but since that's what people want, that's what we're going to give them. You just got to give us a little bit of time to get set up here.
Bust a move. I can't bust a move. I'm very bad at busting a move. I thank you for your your positivity, Christopher. But this is my move.
Okay, I got a packet capture from DEFCON 26. It looks like so.
Perfect.
It's going to take a little while to download, so we'll just let that kind of cook while we talk about the next thing, which is talking about different parts of. We can go back and talk a little bit about what's so important about this. So you're going to want to look at the source and destination address. That's obviously going to be one of the main things you want to focus on. The artifacts, I kind of talked about that, how to go in and export those artifacts. Another thing that's kind of important is to look at the time. So the timestamp of when that packet came in, and what packets came before and after it, and then what port, source port, destination port. Is it using a common port? Is it using a high numbered port? Does anything look weird about that? Right? Definitely, if you're looking for some of the unencrypted ports like FTP or Telnet. You can always see FTP and Telnet information in the clear. That means if you actually go into that packet, you can see all the login information, all the session information. You can see where they sent the command, to do a directory listing or, put or get a file. And then you can go into the artifacts and actually look at the file that they downloaded. FTP is horribly, horribly insecure. And so that it's going to be definitely up for game, in the challenge.
Yes.
Let's see here. Another thing is there's going to be some information here under identification. Under identification, you're going to see some footprint information, like what operating system they use, what version they use. And yeah, that's a really good point that Michael's making here.
The question
is not encrypted either. And we do need to use SSH normally in order to kind of encrypt all that traffic.
Are you still waiting on that packet capture download?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So why don't we go over some of these questions? Christopher asks, can you use Wireshark to banner grab?
Yes, actually you can. So again, everything that happens on the network is going to be in a packet. So when you connect to a server, then it's going to replay that initial welcome message, or the message of the day or whatever. And yes, it will have all the information in there that you can use for banner grabbing.
All right. We have another one by Michael. It says, should we load a virtual machine with Kali, or is it simply having Wireshark on our PC okay?
So one of the hazards of running Wireshark on your main computer is that you also load a packet capture utility, and that utility has been reported multiple times for being insecure. So you're actually running insecure software on your computer.
One moment. We have some comments in the chat saying that the audio might have gone out. I can hear you, but I don't know. Okay.
Okay, it's back.
Good. Okay, we're back. Okay, never mind.
I wonder if downloading that packet capture might be affecting my bandwidth. Hopefully not.
Well, I think it's fine. You can continue. Sorry.
Okay. No. I'm glad that we put that okay. Yeah. So I'm sorry. Where was I at?
That's a good question. I got panicked by the audio thing. The packet capture device or whatever has been reported many times as being really insecure.
Thank you. Yes. So the WinPCAP utility has multiple vulnerabilities on it, and I would not recommend that you just put it on your host machine, or if you do, make sure that you uninstall it after the competition. But definitely don't leave it on there between seasons or anything like that. It is insecure software that you just have a vulnerability sitting on your computer. For that reason, I usually do load Kali in a virtual machine, and it comes preloaded with Wireshark, so you don't even have to load Wireshark into your Kali environment. Not everyone likes Kali. A lot of people are very Windows friendly. That's fine. You can always also create a virtual machine with Windows in Windows, and then you can load your Wireshark into that environment.
Perfect. Michael Hallman runs to uninstall Wireshark and boots VMware. Well,
so yeah, if you look at if you just type in, a WinPCAP vulnerabilities, you're going to get a page of them. It's probably the only downfall that I could think of immediately about about running Wireshark is that it just is very insecure.
Yeah, isn't one of the problems that you can't run it as a non-privileged user, but if you run it as a privileged user, it yells at you?
Yeah, there is some privilege escalation stuff in there, and the other thing is that it can be turned into a sniffer. So basically, someone can sniff all the traffic on your network by remotely executing it, and so that gives them you're basically putting hacking tools on your computer for them to use, right? So you don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. Good thing to know.
Yeah, it's almost as bad as leaving an open port or having Netcat or something like that, running on your computer. All you're doing is basically opening a vulnerability that can be exploited.
Yeah, when you're opening a door, it opens both ways. So
right,
just something to keep in mind. Okay, Patrick Rabin asks, Can you specify when ARP would be used?
Yeah, so this is definitely one of those networking questions, So ARP is address resolution protocol. Basically, devices on the network try to find each other by name, and ARP acts like a little phone book, basically, and can give information back and forth across the network. Like when I ask, "Hey, where is or who is this IP address?" then it responds with a name. Yeah, it's just internal network. You would never really see it unless you were doing a packet capture, and it's something that your computer does by itself as just part of regular network processing. However, there are some exploits such as an Arp Flood, or you can put in a false ARP station where it'll actually give the wrong information. So when the router says, who is 172.16.19.20, and instead of the computer answering I am, then you answer you are, and they just start sending traffic to you, right? So that's kind of a ARP spoofing is what it's called. And then the other thing is an ARP flood. So when someone sends out a request, who is 172.16.19.20, you just on with hundreds of requests saying, hundreds of responses saying, I am, and the computers get confused and they can't talk back and forth.
Yes. All right. Another question that was asked, and I think you've answered this a little bit before, but we might as well go over it just real quick again. How do you convert the raw data inside Wireshark into its correct format? And that was what you were talking about, which is going into the file tab and exporting the objects that are sent over HTML or the other formats that it allows. I don't remember if you could go back to Wireshark for a moment.
I have to say that works some of the time.
Yeah, it's not 100%.
There are certain challenges in certain instances where you might need to reconstruct a file by hand. In other words, it doesn't all travel in a sequential order, or it doesn't arrive in the right order. It doesn't export correctly. And so you'll actually have to go into the data itself of the packet, cut it, put it into a file, and reassemble that packet manually so that or packet stream manually so that you actually have the full file. So export objects works really good when it works, but it doesn't work every single time. And
that's just how a lot of the tools work. Like the tools are there to help, but they are not.
And realistically, if you've got someone on your network that's trying to exfiltrate data off of the network, they're going to do it in little tiny packets, right? And it's not going to show up as like FTP traffic. It'll go across some weird port, or it'll go across, using, like you could actually exfiltrate data across DNS, or you just change the packet size, or you can actually exfiltrate data using pings, right? You just change the packet size and you put real data in there instead of ping data.
Yep.
So yeah, you got to be kind of aware a little bit for some of the advanced challenges, obviously, of modern exfiltration and modern, attack, techniques. Obviously, those are really, really, really high-end kind of challenges. Usually the big ones that everyone gets stuck on, but they're fun. They're really fun just because you really have to understand networking 101 and probably 201 also in order to answer them.
All right. 1 is equal to 1. Yes. There is one question here by James asking, are you able to capture traffic on a remote server using Wireshark from a jump box?
Wow. Okay. Yeah, the answer is yes, you can. If the ports are configured in promiscuous mode, this is really advanced stuff, but yes, you can actually turn ports on in the router to promiscuous mode, and it basically makes them like a hub instead of a switch. And that way, when you send information to that port, it's broadcast out everywhere, and that allows you to kind of tap in and listen to that port from a different, port on a computer. I think that answers your question, but yeah, using a jump box is, somewhat similar to that process. You do need, you still need to have a port that you can listen to in promiscuous mode and then forward those packets on in order to get that whole loop working. Otherwise, obviously, they're going to know you're on the network, and it won't last very long before it all gets bounced back and denied.
Yep. All right. Now that we talked about some of the Wireshark vulnerabilities, we have a question by WF asking, is CloudShark okay regarding vulnerabilities?
Yeah, because CloudShark is client-based and it's in the browser. So when you close the browser, it's gone, right? It exists in memory for the time that it's loaded, and then when you close it, it's gone. It's not on your computer anymore. It's simply client-side software. It's in the cloud. So I would definitely say CloudShark is the way to go if you're like on a school computer and can't install Wireshark, or you have you're behind a firewall and you can't, or administrative privileges and you can't access the software the way it's designed. Oh, Kate wants to jump in real quick. So let me see.
Yes.
Highlight her, and then oh, you've got to do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I know. I'm attempting. Oh, she's connecting. Connecting. Okay.
Hi, Kate.
Oh, fun. I'm driving. Can you turn off my video? Like, I should not be on video.
There we go.
Got you.
Hi, Sam.
Hi.
I just want to hang out with you guys, and I can't text and drive. So.
That's fair. Okay, we'll just keep you on audio.
Okay.
Anything you want to add to CloudShark?
CloudShark is great because, like John said, it just exists in the web. And well, I want to stress the virtual machine thing. That was really why I wanted to join. Also, my GPS may start talking. With virtual machines, you have the ability to just turn those off when they're not in use, and when they're not in use and they're off, they're safe. I cannot stress the importance of developing good CTF habits while you compete in NCL. Just because NCL is relatively safe and they mostly won't put you in danger. I know there was a live virus link in an old season. I know they try to avoid that. But ultimately, you know, best practice when you're doing a CTF in general is to make sure that you are doing it within a VM so that you can protect yourself. And ultimately, you're learning to be cybersecurity specialists. So make sure you're using cybersecurity best practices and build yourself a VM and compete from the VM. And then you're safe ultimately.
Yep, that's a very good point.
Yeah, very excellent points. Okay, so there's nothing else on CloudShark. I can touch on T-Shark for a little bit if everyone wants to learn that.
We do have one more question about Wireshark. If you want to maybe swap back to that tab, Mike D asked, how do you personally configure your Wireshark window for things to look at? Like, do you have certain columns next to each other for easier visibility?
Yes, I do. And that is the efficiency part of it, right? Just out of the box, you're going to see the most commonly used columns that you need: source, destination, port. In my blog, I actually linked at the very end, which was to a video, which I can actually drop in here. Let me just cover this. All right, so if you go to that link right there, this is actually done by a guy who speaks on Shark Week every year, which is the Wireshark convention, and he talks about how he sets up. What's that?
Is that what it's called?
That's what Shark
Week?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'd like to go some year, but definitely.
I definitely call something else Shark Week, so I don't know if I'd want to go to a conference called Shark Week.
Fair enough.
I mean, I think it'd be fun, but yeah. So they do Shark Week, which is a big convention. Wireshark, demos. Developers get up and they talk about all the stuff that they're doing, and then they make those videos available afterwards. That's what this video is, and he's actually talking about how he turns color coding off. By default, it's on. So all of your HTTP traffic is colored pink. All of your TCP traffic is colored green or blue or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's kind of arbitrary.
Yeah, so they have like a built-in mechanism for marking traffic, but he actually likes to turn that off because it can be a little distracting, and he's going through a lot of big packet captures, so he likes to actually screen out traffic like I do by marking it. So when he finds traffic that he doesn't want to see, then he'll mark it a different color. And then it just, he's got green traffic and red traffic. Red traffic is bad traffic. Green traffic is good traffic. So he does that. And then he'll turn on things like the packet number versus the time that the packet came in. Because sometimes they don't always come in the right order. And so by numbering it by packet versus numbering it, you can kind of look and see, if it came in the right order. And when you're definitely trying to reconstruct traffic, that can be really important. The other thing is he turns on byte size, which by default is turned off. Byte size can be really informative. If you see a bunch of ping packets going out and they all have like a 305 byte, links to them, then something is really odd there, and you could be looking like at an exfiltration using ping packets.
Oh, interesting. All right.
How big is a ping naturally?
It can vary. Usually, like a default Windows ping has a certain size. A default Linux ping has a different size. Cisco has a different, ping size. In all of those utilities, you can change the size of the ping. There used to be an old exploit called the ping of death, where you could send a massive size ping, and the router on the other side wouldn't know what to do with it, and it would just cause it to lock up.
Nice. That's a good name. We've got some good names going on here. We have another question from Michael, directed at Kate, but John, I'm sure you have insight in this too. New person VM question. My VM is connected, hardwired to my router. Is that safe to sandbox in?
I'm going to direct this question to John, and I want to bring up the fact that we actually have a video on Intro to Building VMs and the blog on it that John wrote. That was the last video we did before we moved to our brand new platform, Crowdcast, so you can actually find it in our former Facebook Live videos.
Awesome.
But he can still answer it here.
And also, if you just want to go back into CryptoKait's blog page, the original blog that I wrote on it is still available. So, if you can't see the video because you don't have a Facebook account, whatever, then you can just read through. I covered most of what was in my blog on that particular talk. So definitely it's still available.
All right. All right. Has that packet capture downloaded yet?
2 hours left. This isn't going to happen.
Oh, no. Maybe it was a mistake to download the DEF CON one, because that one's specifically very large.
It's 5 gig. I'm going to have to cancel that. If I wasn't streaming at the same time, it probably would have downloaded by now. But, yeah, I think I'm taking up most of my bandwidth right now just for streaming.
Oops. Oh, well. Where is the blog that is still available? So we have a WordPress site for CryptoKait's. All the stuff that we post goes to her blog. And I can probably scroll down really fast and find the Building Your Virtual Playground, setting up VMs for the National Cyber League Games. I will post this in the chat real fast. And that is where you can go look for, where you can go and read what he has wrote. And you can also go, as Kate said, to the Facebook page to look at that archived live show, I believe.
So that actually brings up a really good point that I wanted to butt in and add before the end of the show, not to bogart your guys' show, because you're doing an amazing job, and I'm so happy that I have such a wonderful team working with me. I did want to say that we are still accepting applications. I have gone through, there's a couple people that I'm starting to reach out to of the people who have applied, but if you go to CryptoKait.wordpress.com, on the navigation bar at the top, there's an NCL Player Ambassadors tab, and if you click there, there's the application. But also, we would love your feedback on what you think of these coaching videos. What do you think of the blog? What do you think of our player ambassadors and things like that? We'd love your feedback. This is a brand new initiative. It's new to us, it's new to NCL, and your feedback helps make us better. So if you want to send a tweet at us, you can tweet at you can give your handle.
It is, hold on. I should really know my Twitter handle off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it's NCL_WebWitch. You can tweet at Gina.
I think it is too.
At NCL Gina. You can tweet at John at blue_level_2, and you can tweet at me, as always, at CryptoKait. You can email us. There's info@nationalcyberleague.org. We don't manage that email, but it'll get back to us if you tell us stuff Endpoint this season. But ultimately, let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you want to see more of. Let us know what you, I mean, if you don't like something, let us know. But we want to use your feedback to improve our process.
So I found a packet capture from the CCDC. That one I think is going to download. I've got about 28 seconds left on that one. So
awesome, perfect. And while we're waiting for those 26 seconds, Mike D asked a question. Is there an obvious sign you can notice in Wireshark that'll give away if someone is probing your machine? Say if an attacker is using Nmap directed at your machine, are you able to discern if you are being probed?
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on the type of scan, it's going to have a fingerprint, right? So basically you'll see port enumeration, for example. You'll see, it'll come in and it'll ask for port 111, 123, 145, it'll roll through all the common enumerated ports, and you can absolutely see, because remember, you're talking about everything that happens on the network passes through a packet. Every packet has a source, every packet has a destination, and it has the same, structure to it. If it doesn't, the router kicks it out. So if it makes it to the router, then you're going to be able to see, all those patterns in there.
All right, awesome. If you start seeing RDP stuff, you're probably already in trouble.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Well, alrighty. Packet?
I'm extracting the packet. Give me a sec.
Please, sir, could I have some packets?
Alrighty, it's loading.
Do 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 do
You get in the corner.
do.
So we're up to about 600,000 packets, to give you an idea. Yeah, why is this Chinese IP address connecting to my machine? Yeah, so attribution, it's going to be a big part of it. And, you can definitely look up, DNS blocks and, kind of find out, where all of these different servers are coming from. And believe it or not, that's been part of the NCL before, where you can actually look and see, there's traffic coming from China. Kind of interesting.
I'll take TED Talks for 300, John. Nice callback joke. I appreciate it. Got a bust to move when you sing. Oh no, do I? Well, that's kind of just how packets are. Yes, you are.
Dude, my phone died and it turned back on and brought me back to the show and logged me back in and added me back to the channel.
That's persistence.
Weird.
Podcast is the bomb. This is the best platform that exists. If you are interested in doing live shows, I, 10 out of 10, recommend Crowdcast.
Perfect. So I'm going to quickly add this to the existing questions, and I'm going to answer it myself. So Justin asks, what would you say a good skill level would be to do relatively well in the NCL? And I would like to say that it has less to do with your skill level and more to do with how persistent you are in what you're doing. Obviously, like if you've never seen any of this stuff before, it's going to be harder for you. But I know someone who had never touched any of the material before, spent like a month and a half doing all of the research that they could possibly do on it, and then came to one of the really early NCL competitions and absolutely killed it. And I'm pretty sure placed in the top like 100. I can't remember exactly, but it has a lot to do with how persistent you are willing to be. Obviously, you're going to find some, gaps in your knowledge, but if you take the time to research and fill those, I think that has more to do with how well you do in the NCL than just, oh, this is my MMR.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And the only thing I'd add is that, we did write a blog about that kind of. about, the intro to the NCL and kind of, what to expect, and some basic time management and some so because it's not just about how much you can Google, but how quickly you can get to the information that you're looking for. Time is absolutely a factor. I think everyone would probably be in gold, and everyone might be in the top 100 if they had infinite time to solve the challenge.
Yep.
I mean, I can second what Fee said. My first competition, I still didn't know that Control-Alt-Delete were 3 separate buttons. And by the end of my first season, I went from ranking in like the bottom of the bottom to like the top 400 or 500. Which I didn't impress, but coming from a theater background into cybersecurity for the first time, having that much growth over one season just goes to show that like determination is more a factor in how well you will do than prior knowledge. There's enough breadcrumbs, clues, resources, and we have enough tutorials out there to definitely get you started. So there's no reason that you can't perform well if you are measuring your success against yourself and not a ranking.
That too. Also, shout out to those theater kids turned cybersecurity people. Hey, represent.
And
also,
I think you're going to see a lot more cross-discipline kind of stuff, just because people are coming into cybersecurity from all kinds of walks of life. Everyone, I've got accountants, I've got a school teacher right now that I'm working with to try to get him involved in cyber, because he's looking to do a career pivot. I've got another a friend of mine that got out of the military, and he's looking for a career start. Cybersecurity is open to all, and it's it's a wide open field, and we need people in it. So I mean, I think you're going to see a lot more cross-discipline stuff, and that's really kind of exciting, actually. Just that it doesn't matter where you start. That we're all going through this learning process together.
Yep, and it looks like our packet's loaded.
Yeah,
so.
I have packets now. All right. So
miracle.
Yeah, this is a packet capture, and you can see that there are 8 million packets in this capture.
I like that transition, guys.
Just the
yeah. So there are 8 million packets in this capture, and you can tell some of what I was saying about the color coding that it automatically does. So right here, there's your TCP traffic, and you can see here a FINAC, a reset, a couple SYNACs. These are all TCP handshake stuff. Here you have an HTTPS. Someone requested a resource and it was not found. Now, this is the layout that you get when you install Wireshark. This is my custom setup. I like to have my source and destination right next to each other right here, and I like to have the protocol right after it. The length of the packet, I put that in there. That's not something that normally you see, but I like to see the length of the packet so that I can identify what doesn't belong. If it's too big of a packet, too small of a packet, or if I see like repetitive stuff, like most of your FINAC, most of your TCP handshake stuff should be small like that, right? If you saw a TCP, reset come through that was, 800 bytes, you'd be like, that's kind of weird, right? Or if you see traffic, that's not on a common port. See, all of this stuff is using 443. Which is, SSL type stuff, HTTPS stuff. And as we keep on rolling through this, you can see like an EIGRP message. You can see, another 404 request. Now, what I was saying about data is this right here is your packet. This is the same thing as if you were looking at this. So if you look at the frame information, you can see the frame number, frame length, all that stuff. You can come down here, and remember I was saying that there's footprint information in here? It actually says it's a Cisco device. This is a MAC address. If you look up a MAC on a MAC table, you can tell what kind of device it is by the first 3 couplets that will tell you the manufacturer's hardware ID code, and you can tell what kind of device it is. So if the question is, who was using a iPhone on the network, what IP address it was an iPhone, then you can come in here to the footprint information and find it. Right now, you see here also there's VMware, right? That's because this is a virtual port. Normally, this would have a Ethernet address in there, coming from one computer going to another. Okay, so that's the Ethernet information. You come down here, and you can see all your flags. You can see what type of traffic it is, IPv4 in this case. Then in the IPv4, you can actually see the protocol that's being used, source and destination ports. Blow that up, and you can see, the next sequence number and what the current sequence number is. This is kind of interesting when you're doing like handshake stuff. Like you can see, the TCP, SYN, SYNAC, FIN, all packet numbers are going to be sequential. Let's see, FIN, push, ACK. You can see all your flags that are on that individual, packet, right? That tells you what that packet is requesting to do. Lastly, down here in the HTTP section, this is data, right? So now you can see that it's a Microsoft IIS running 6.0 that, it's run by, it's powered by, the ASP.NET framework. And then here, you have the original request. You can jump between the different frames. And here's what they are actually requesting, which is this DEAS log03.nsf. That is what they were requesting, that they got a 404 on. So you can tear these packets apart and really find out what someone was attempting to do, where they were trying to go to. And again, it's not the way that Wireshark is normally set up over here, where I have my number packet here, then I got my time here, and there's another thing that, in that video that I linked, that he likes to do, which is go here into the preferences, and he turns off the common port. Where is it? Advanced. Here it is. Common ports. I'm trying to remember where he put it at. Name resolution. Here it is. It'll resolve common ports. You can actually uncheck that. I'm looking for it here. Layout, packet details. I'll have to go back to that video and take a look, because I don't do it, but he does. But instead of it seeing TLS version 1 for protocol or TCP for protocol, it would actually give the port numbers here instead. So that way, if you get traffic running on a non-standard port, it's a little easy. Like if you saw a SYN flag come across, on port 80, obviously that's a red flag. It's like, what is going on? There's something on the network that doesn't belong. It's communicating in an abnormal way. I talked about these, a couple things here, which is your IPv statistics. Here's all the IPv4 addresses that are in that capture. So if they ask, how many IP addresses were on the network, here you go. You just, count them up, right? Let's see, another thing is looking at resolved addresses. This is kind of cool. This tells you all the different HTML sites that were requested and what the DNS resolution for those is. So you can see here quite a bit of information is actually on .local. That's because this was for a CTF event, and on the CCDC, which is basically blue versus red team or blue versus blue team. It depends on how you look at it. Okay, so yeah, this is your packet capture. I did mention, right? This I'll go ahead and do that with an HTTP stream here, and there is no HTTP information on this one.
Oh well.
All right, let me go to follow the TCP stream then. All right, here we go. Maybe it's just taking a long time to load. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there. But, oh, here it is. Yeah, okay, so here it's already applied my filter, and this is just that one stream. So you can see all the information, sessions set up, and X request user web admin. So someone tried to log in as web admin. You might want to look at that, right? just look for those red flags, things that pop out, things that, look abnormal, or so messages or login as admin. These are all red flags that, I would definitely take a look at, a little closer.
All right. That was a pretty good overview of like these fun little packet captures. We've got about a half a dozen questions to go through, and then we have hit the hour. So after these, we'll wrap it up. Where are the video replays saved? The Crowdcast.io video replays are saved right here. So if you, for example, if you go up to the top left-hand corner of your guys' screen, you should see something that says schedule, and it'll say like session 5 out of 14. You can click there, and you can go back and watch any of our previous live shows. They will all be there. This one will be at the same link, and as soon as we go offline, they will be able to be replayed. All of the question clips that we recorded, they will go, if you click on the ask a question, they will be in the answered, and you'll be able to jump to that section of the broadcast. Can you recommend, by Dr. Roberto, who is a lovely reoccurring visitor, can you recommend any other websites that would be helpful for my beginning CIS students?
The site that I found the packet captures at, that I finally was able to download, I got from that netresec.com. That's where I'd go for packet captures themselves. The other one would have worked. I just didn't have forever to download.
I have parked, but I've lost all audio. I will be back on an audio and video in like 2 minutes. Bye.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
It'll probably reconnect her automatically, because it's Crowdcast, right?
Yeah. John, do you have the link?
Looks like we got some. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Do you have the link to the website that you were talking about? Dr. Roberto is wondering.
Sure. Let me just copy that over. And all of these links you can find also on my blog. Okay. There you go.
All right. Perfect.
Let's see. Question from in a few seconds. Will a full-time job hinder my performance in the NCL because you said it is time sensitive? Unfortunately, it might. Generally, it runs over a weekend, so it shouldn't collide. But a lot of people work weekends, so I can't really say that for sure. But it is time sensitive. It begins at this time, it ends at that time, and there's really no way that you can extend that or anything like that. I've actually, I had that happen to me before, where it just landed on the wrong weekend, and I ended up, connecting from the back of a minivan using, the alternator and using my phone as a hotspot. So, it was a mobile. I turned my minivan into a hacking lab. It was great.
Nice. I definitely had a run where we had a show, like a theater production running over, and I was working in the trap area underneath the stage during the competition. So I had my laptop open as I was running all of the things beneath the stage, going back and forth trying to participate. I didn't do very well that season, admittedly. However, it happens. There's always more.
I would say that every season gets a little bit easier. You find a little bit more shortcuts and tricks. You learn not to go down rabbit holes. You get better about time management. There's a lot of things you learn just by doing. And I remember my first season, I spent 6 hours looking for a fake language in order to solve a cryptology.
The ones where it's like from Futurama or whatever.
I rabbit holed bad on that one. I mean, I was just like, oh my gosh, I got stuck in that and I couldn't let go. You learn later, that, okay, you got to come back to this one. There's other challenges you got to get done.
All right, we've got 2 more questions. One, don't some people have other protocols running over common, I believe they mean ports, but they do say protocols.
So yeah, and that's actually kind of, so what you're asking is, can you use common enumerated ports for other purposes? And yeah, absolutely, you can. There's nothing saying you have to telnet on, port 22. You can telnet on any port that you want. You can set up a netcat listener on any port that you want. So yes, you absolutely can, use those ports for non-intended purposes, or using software that uses, ports that were commonly, assigned for like network time protocol or something like that. It's just a best practice usually that software manufacturers will obey the RFCs and put the right traffic on the right ports. But there's nothing actually. There's no police officer that's going to knock on their door and be like, "Hey, you're broadcasting on the wrong port," right? It's the Wild West. You can do pretty much whatever you want.
Yeah. So follow-up question: would filtering common traffic be bad then? That was the
for most of the NCL challenges, I don't see that you're gonna run into that. I think that you could. I mean, you want to look at the common ports, the ones that are insecure, like FTP, Telnet, that kind of stuff. Screening out all 443 traffic. I don't know. I mean, I mark it good. I don't screen it out because you might miss a request or something, that or a attempted login, for example. So that's a really hard question to answer without the challenges. They can be pretty tricky with these packet captures. So I'd be really hesitant to just make assumptions.
It's definitely context dependent.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up, our last question from our wonderful Kate, who has unfortunately her connection has died. But what is coming up next and in the future from the player ambassadors? If she's talking specifically about live shows, next week we're going to be doing an everything you need to know about password cracking for the National Cyber League games. And the week after that is going to be where to start with wireless access exploitation, which is fun. I believe Gina is doing that, the wireless access one, and Kate is doing password cracking. I could be wrong though, and I might have switched those. But beyond that, John, do you have anything?
Yeah, I watched the blogs. I'm going to be converting over my 3CS talk over into individual blogs, and that's all on how to manage and run a cyber security club on campus. So it's not necessarily directly related to the NCL, but something that I'm a little bit pessimistic. Wanted to share that. I know some of the other player ambassadors have pet projects and some ideas that they want to blog about. So always check CryptoKait or .wordpress.org and just keep watching. A lot of stuff is going to come out. I know on my Twitter, you'll see that I'm involved in other activities. I've got clubs and groups that I'm at, and I definitely do some speaking at those. So following us on Twitter is always a good idea. Find out what we're doing outside of just NCL.
All right. Kate's trying to add back, but well, I guess we'll wait for her for a moment and see if she connects. Anyone else have any final quick questions? Nothing in depth because we are 15 minutes over. Oh, hello, Kate. So, audio, yes?
Yeah, I think so. But also,
Perfect.
I'm blocking my laundry with my chair because I didn't set up. I just got out of my car.
Of course. Oh, there's a cat! Yes! What is the cat's name?
This is Rice.
Rice?
Rice. Like the food.
I love him. Him, her, them.
Him.
Adorable.
Really glad that he wanted
Kate,
to
do you
say
want to
hi.
answer? Oh, there's a dog. Hold on. I don't
This is common at
have
the end
any
of our
animals.
shows, you know.
I don't have any animals. Hold on, wait. I've got a snake stuffed animal.
It
A
counts.
beanie baby specifically. That is like 20 years old.
That'll work.
So mine's the oldest of all these animals. Kate, so you asked a question in here specifically for us to answer. But do you want to answer your own question as to what we have coming up next?
I came back and like heard the answer. So yeah, mostly that stuff. Let me pull up our Trello board. I'm sure you guys covered most of the topics. So we actually have like a little job board. That's how serious we take our job, guys.
Yeah.
I know I have a million things to write. There's a upcoming PowerShell and Linux command line resources. So it's not going to be a how-to. It's just going to point to all of our favorite resources that we reference. I'm really excited about a top 10 do's and don'ts that's coming up because our whole group is writing it as a group. And then after that, the season starts. So I really wanted to bring to your attention that we're not going to be coaching during the seasons. We're going to be offering advice on teamwork strategies, how to run practice, how to collaborate without cheating, right? Because you want to work together and learn from each other without breaking any rules. So we're going to make sure that we cover that. We're also going to talk about what to do after the season ends, after team competition. What do you do? At least as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to speak on behalf of everyone. I'll let you guys talk about it. I believe that postseason recaps and what I call the ridiculous award ceremony are very important parts to build camaraderie and sort of grow your NCL programs at your schools. And then I know John mentioned he's got a web series coming out. We're trying to sort of figure out what we're going to do. I know over the winter break, we are looking to interview players and talk to players because as you can see, we can have lots of people on the screen and we want you guys to have the chance to shine on the screen with us. And then we're really looking forward to the feedback. I know I said it already, but the more you guys talk to us, the more you tell us what you like, what you don't like, what do you want to see more of, what you want to see less of, and all that kind of stuff, the better content we can make for you guys. So one of the things that's coming is a rewrite of my OG coaching guide, and it's going to reference all these fun weekly videos, the weekly content, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So we're really looking to publish as much as we can to help you guys out as much as possible. I did also want to bring to your guys' attention that I have a new contact policy, and I'm hoping that the other player ambassadors will figure out what they want to do. At least for me, I will no longer be answering any private inquiries. I have a lot of players who email me and want individual coaching, and it's not really fair for me to help any individuals. People reach out asking me to help them build their computer, and I suck at hardware, so I don't know how I can help with that. So basically the best way to reach me from now on is during these live shows via Twitter or other public forums so that I can answer everyone all at once and I don't have to worry about anybody claiming favoritism or things of that nature. And, you know, that's my policy. I don't know how the other player ambassadors are going to handle it for them, but I have removed the contact form from my blog. So that's a small update. I'm sad, but I can't keep up with the requests, and I've been getting some nasty emails from people who I haven't had enough time to answer. So it's time. So the best way to catch me is on these shows.
And I want to mention also, you know, that if you do send in something on the Facebook, feedback or, either to National Cyber League or to, Cyber Skyline or whatever, we're going through kind of a little bit of a transition as we take on this new team management, and we all have access to it, but we haven't completely identified, roles and responsibilities yet. This is a growing team, and we're having a little bit of growing pains on that. So just give us a little bit of leeway. If you don't get a answer right away, we will get to you. But we don't have the 24-hour turnaround, which is our target, and we will have soon. But just for right now, please give us a little bit of a space as we kind of fill into our roles. and certainly we can still have room on the team. We could add more people. So
the more people we have, the more questions we can answer. But unfortunately, we have reached a point where the questions that we get have exceeded our capabilities to answer everyone individually. So like I said, you can submit your questions, but if we think it's a really important topic, we'll definitely write blog
posts.
We'll write blog posts about it. I actually have a tag on my blog that I've started using. It's called Questions Answered. When people ask me a question that I think is really important, I've tried to just sort of answer in a public forum and then point them to the blog. This is really to not disappoint you guys. I know it seems like a thing, but it breaks my heart when I get negative feedback because I wasn't able to answer somebody's question fast enough. When they I've had people message me privately on LinkedIn for NCL advice, and I appreciate it, guys, but you guys are so creative with your means of contacting me, but I can't keep up.
Yeah, creative means of contact, it's not always a positive thing.
Please don't ever email me my address again, because it's already happened once.
Yeah. Also, just be aware that we are all employed human beings, and this is not our main job. We all have jobs that take up, our time, and then this is something that we are working on the side to, help your guys' experience and to really give you the content that you need. But also, we also, because capitalism, we have to make money to survive. So
we say this with a lot of love, guys. We're this is not a scolding. This is just, I want to let you guys know my policy has changed. I have always been DM me, email me, whatever it takes. Let's stay on public forums for everyone's safety, but mostly mine.
Yeah.
Again, we say it with love. We just want to make sure that what we're doing is super fair too. We don't want it to be in somebody's private email that we gave a piece of advice that helped someone solve the most uncrackable question in the game. We want to make sure that all those answers are out there publicly, so that if you do the research and the scrambling through all of our content, then you should have the same as anybody else. We don't want to do any favoritism in any capacity. So that's a really big deal for me now. I know we're getting a lot of requests to virtually coach a single session or a single subject for schools. If instructors reach out and contact us and you want us to talk to your cybersecurity clubs, we'll do as many as we can. They'll be super short shows, and we'll mostly do a Q&A with your clubs, but they will be recorded and broadcast here. So yes, we can meet with your team, but it will always be public. So that's a big thing I want to stress. That has changed. It's changed since last week. It's very, very new. I'm a little bit sad about it, but I do think it's for the best for everyone.
Yes.
And with that, I think we're coming up on a whole nother extra half hour on this show, guys.
Yeah, I think we're setting records. So
I think we are, and I
drove all the way home and got in my house and set up my stuff.
Yeah, I do have to make it to my little brother's birthday. So
happy birthday, little brother!
It's a party / anniversary of sorts, but I need to get there. I think he would be mildly disappointed with me if I got there late. So on that note, thank you guys for all of your questions that you guys have sent in. I think it might be a record for questions answered, because we've got 18. I don't know how many we've gotten.
Oh yeah, no, that's definitely a record. Congratulations, you two.
I'd just like to say, thanks for all the support and all the, all the love you guys have given us. It makes us want to keep on doing this, and I just, I'm overwhelmed by the amount of stuff we receive for the amount that we get. So we appreciate it all.
All right. And that'll be everything, guys. See you guys next week when we talk about, hold on.
Oh, it's password cracking,
which is
a small change in schedule, because originally it was supposed to be wireless access exploitation, but your girl's going to Disney, and I really wanted to do password cracking. So we switched because I love password cracking. It's actually one of my favorite coaching sessions of the whole season. It's right up there with crypto for me. I can't substitute. I can't let one of the other player ambassadors do it. It's just my favorite. It's my baby. It's one of the things that I think I coach in a most foolproof way. So if you don't watch any other show, please catch that show. It will give you absolutely everything you need to know to get easy, medium, and hard challenges in password cracking. It is the only coaching session where I can guarantee you will have the knowledge and the skills and the resources to solve even the hard challenges. You might not have the patience, but you will have the resources.
Yeah, we can't gift you patience.
That's a pretty tall promise. I look forward to hearing it myself.
It is my, it's very foolproof. This is the one subject I feel like I kill it when I coach. So I was going to have somebody sub in for me, but I'm just too passionate about it. So we swapped the shows. And then the following week, Gina will be on with wireless access exploitation. This is it surprised me that Gina likes this. It's not a skill that I'm super great at. So, as the person who coached Gina, usually we have very similar skills. This is one that she developed all off on her own because it's not my skill. I can tell you that.
All right. Well, on that note, and with a very enthusiastic description of the password cracking thing for next week.
Don't miss next week.
We will see you all in a week, and have a good rest of your night.
All right. Good night, everyone.